Whoa, 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 whoa. Happy Bowtie Friday. I'm Austin Griffith. I'm here with the Build Guild. We're doing our usual Friday thing. We're building stuff. We're showing it off. First up is going to be Damu. He's got his Loogie shirt on. He's going to show us a Loogie board. I think he brought the game from Amsterdam. He brought the Loogies into the game from Amsterdam, which is so fun. So I'll hand it off to you, Damu. Kick it off.
Hi,
Show us what you
Austin. Hi,
got.
guys. Yes, I took the Amsterdam game and chose some loogies, fancy loogies, and you can register with a fancy loogie. I will share my screen. I send the link on the chat. So this is the loogie board. It's the same board from the Amsterdam game, but now you can register with a fancy loogie. And the gold are a loogie coin, the same loogie coin that you can earn in when going fishing with the loogie ship.
And there's an NES controller. Is that used to make the moves? Is that what you have going on?
Yeah, yeah, we can move.
You hit up on the controller and it brings up a MetaMask dialogue.
Yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah, I get the SBC from the Nintendo controller. I just put the button inside of, and this is the destroy world button.
It's amazing.
You have to be careful with this button.
What is that? Wait, what does that do?
Oh, it's not implemented.
Oh, okay.
You should track to see how many people click it.
Yeah. So I can connect my wallet and I should be able to jump in. So do I send a loogie to the board? I'll just figure it out in a second. I'm excited. I might.
Yeah, you just register with a fancy loogie. You don't need to send the fancy loogie.
Oh, I'm getting something weird. Check this out. Can I share my screen for a second?
Yeah.
I can't click the oh, never mind. It totally worked. Okay, never mind. So you click optimism. You have to have a fancy loogie. Oh, it did the thing where it kicked me out. Okay, and then I'll be able to add one of my loogies to it. This might take a little bit to load.
You will see your loogie and a button. Yeah, that's it.
21 cents, not bad.
Oh, Jason is on the board.
This is Jason here, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think I know his blocky. Ooh, someone with the pink bow tie. ZG. I don't know what I did wrong. Do I need to register another loogie or like pick one of these dudes out? Oh, look at this thick boy. Yeah.
What happened?
I don't know. I'm gonna share it back to you. Oh, there we go. No, it didn't let me because it was already making a transaction to put this one in, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And now I can just go like left a bunch and like I'm heading for this gold here. Is that right?
Yeah. When some Louis coin or hair is collected, a new one is dropped in the board. So always there will be the same amount of Louis coin and hair to collect on the board.
That's what I did with Gallias. When I made Gallias, I set it up so when you caught a fish, it basically like when you turned the fish into the fishmonger or whatever, it put another fish back in the sea and it gave you some money. So there was like this constant kind of economy where the world was like getting refreshed, which is bad because if you were building like a straight up like a game economy, you would have like a bunch of inflation because of that, right? You've got the token getting generated, but you need almost some kind of token sink to get it to like even out the economy, which who knows? We'll figure. We don't know anything about game economies yet. Okay, I'll hand it back to you. Sorry, I stole it. I just wanted to show it off, but my loogie is moving. I'm going to get that gold.
Yeah, there are not much too much to say. I added a subgraph to avoid the event listeners that are RPC heavy intensive. So all the board is now represented in an entity on the subgraph.
And are fancy loogies even on a subgraph? Like when I loaded up my fancy loogies there, and there was a big list of them in the top right. Is that that's still event based?
No,
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Is getting the info from the contract for the fancy loogies. I have to work on some graph for the fancy loogies and this stuff.
Word. So what? Okay, so Damu, you've been building games now for at least a few weeks, which makes you an expert. What has been your like favorite like game mechanic that we've built so far, or that you've built so far? Like what is the thing that's actually fun?
I'm not sure. I think that the fun is to be able to use the same NFT and the same coin in a lot of game on a lot of application, and you can just reuse the NFT or combine with another NFT and be able to play another game. I think that all this kind of thing that the NFT allowed to do, and I think that it's not too much not too much pressure make use of from this thing. Like you can play with an NFT from one game on another game.
So the composability. So like the fun is we can make 20 different games, and in those 20 different games we can use these same NFTs in different ways and show off like how that composability works and how Web3 games will be different. Yep.
And maybe your NFT is not good for one game, but it's good for another one.
Yep. Like if for instance, the thickness of the loogies or something like that. Like maybe fat loogies are slower than skinny loogies or something like that. Or maybe like you have to, maybe it's like some kind of like teeter totter and you need a bunch of big ones to make your teeter totter go down or something like that.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's like finding the games and playing, just like we can build a ton of different little games and have all these like little casual games have our same little pieces in them. One thing that's really interesting to me when I first realized how this worked with Web3 games, it's kind of like you own the NFT and it's yours. But when you put it in the game, it's almost like you send it and it goes and it lives in another contract. And that other contract is kind of like a vending machine, right? Kind of thinking of these games are kind of like these weird vending machines where it's like this big glass area, right? And we all show up and we put our little character in, and then the claw from the vending machine comes over and picks our character up and puts him in the game. And so like the claw and the game mechanics are all kind of controlled within that glass area, and we can't touch them and get in there. And it's just like a weird concept to think about how like you put your game item in and it kind of plays in the world based on the rules of the smart contract, and you can't really like steal it out, but it's still your loogie. And if the game contract is written correctly, there's no way you can lose that loogie. It's like part of the game. So it's just a strange, with Gallias, when I had ships sailing too, you would send them to the bay and they would live in the ocean, and the ocean contract would let the ships move, but like it would let you control it. It's just a strange, I don't know, a strange concept that I'm still getting over or getting into.
Yeah, sure. I am planning to make some utility for the Louis coin. Just you can buy a special NFT just with Louis coins.
Awesome. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Great build. Yeah, keep going with the loogies. I feel like we need to I don't even know what's next with Loogies. There's so many weird things going on with them already.
Yeah, like the Loogie universe is getting like bigger and bigger.
Bigger and bigger. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I can't stop playing with the Loogies.
It's good. Keep it up, man. Keep it going. I don't even know what we could like experiment with next. I feel like maybe even some governance or something like that, where maybe the next Loogie game that you have to buy into, some of the money goes to some governance pool that is then in charge of funding a developer to build another piece of the game. We kind of talked about this with Spenser's game or Spenser's build too, and we can talk about it a little bit, but like you could have some kind of treasury and then have some kind of DAO around that treasury that then signs off on some money going to some other developer that builds another game on top of it or something like that. And you kind of build those rules into the protocol of the game. I don't know. Lots of fun stuff.
Nice.
Try not to look in the bottom left corner too much over there either. All right. Who's great build, Damu. I love the Loogies. I love the game board. We almost need to figure out how to make some more of these games for some of the conferences, or even like a virtual thing where we all get on a Zoom and play the game and play for like, you know, some kind of stakes, like, I don't know, winner gets a Loogie shirt or something like that. We should figure out some kind of fun game to play and get folks together and do it more. But great build, awesome build, Damu. I think next on the list is Carlos showing off a 712 starter kit and how EIP 712 just makes your signatures look so much better. Take it away, Carlos.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, like I said before, it all started with when I saw what Bliss did for Roundtable, right? I was doing like a lot of signatures on the BuidlGuidl, you know, like for everything was like you have to sign stuff to send to the backend. And then I went to Roundtable and I see this fancy stuff and say, okay. And I was the thing that you say, you know, like we are a community of builders. So it's super easy to say, hey, Bliss, what did you did here? Because I want your fancy stuff on my stuff, you know? and he just like point me to EIP 712 and his code, and I took it from there. And yes, I wanted to be like a simple, like a starter kit, like end-to-end prototype where you sign a message, send it to the backend, and using this EIP 712. So let me share my screen. Yep. So can you see my Chrome, my screen? Yeah.
We got it. Yep.
Okay.
Marcus, urgent.
Yeah, that was like a random field. You know, I wanted to put like
you needed
fields.
Some arguments.
Yeah, some arguments, not just the message. So I made this up. I don't know. So yeah, let me show you first how it works, and then we can take a look at the code. Okay, so I'm going to sign this, and I hope that you can see my MetaMask, right?
Yep, we got it.
Okay, and you can
urgent
see like this
is true.
Yes, and then the timestamp, right, which is also important. We will get back to that later, but that's important for the replay attacks that we are going to see now. Okay, so this, I'm going to sign this, and this will be sent to the server, and the server just get the values, the signature, and then it recovered the signer address, you know, which we'll see now. So as you notice, this is like a new button that appears here, and this is just a simulation of what our reply attack could be. So this is just getting the payload that we just sent to the server. You know, we just signed this message, and that was sent the values and the signature to the server. So at some point, like someone could capture that payload and could use that to send the same values and signature again. So what this is doing is just like sending the same payload to the server. And if I click it, it's trying to send that, and it gets like an error from the server because that signature was already used. So going to the code, I wrote a lot of comments in here. So basically, the 712 is just a data structure that you have to compose with 3 parts. The first part is the 712 domain. This is used to avoid, this is kind of like a namespace to avoid collisions between domains, because you know, like a given signature and values could be valid also for other applications. So this avoid that. This is like a project namespace, let's say. So this is the first part, the domain. The second part is like the types or the schema. So this is the value that we are going to send. So this is the schema of those values. As you saw before, we have the message, which is a string, argent, which is a boolean, and the timestamp, which is like a uint to 56. And then we have the actual values, right? So we are sending and we are assigning the domain, the schema, and the values, and we are just like sending that to the server here, the values and the signature. And then the backend receive that data, the values and the signature, and just try to recover the signer address with the same thing, right? This is like built on ethers. So it just takes the domain, the types, the values, and the signature, and it just return the signer address. And once you have that, I implemented like this like super like local database. It's just like a JSON file, and I'm storing like the list of the message that the user is sending, and storing the last timestamp. And that is that timestamp is used for the replay attack protection. Here, what I'm doing is, if the signer is already there, so if I try to send the same message here, it will use the same timestamp, this one. So this if is going to protect us against the replay attack, because if the last timestamp is you know, is the one that we have stored is greater or equal to the same one that the user is sending, then it means that that signature is the same or is like a earlier signature. So it just like send like a 401, and if not, it just like update the user here. It will add a new message. Actually, let's do that. Let's say like a new message, and that will create a new message here.
And just to show that off a little bit more, like I was kind of confused about the replay attack stuff at first when I saw it, but just to talk through it, like we were just talking about, let's set up a game and let's have a treasury and let's have people vote on where that treasury could get allocated. Imagine if all of us were just signing messages and you had to, you know, prove that you owned Loogie coin and then you signed a message, and we can do all of that with our ECDSA key pairs. But if you voted one way and then later on someone turned in a vote from you and you voted another way, you'd want the most recent one, right? So that's the, like, you could vote one way and then you could change your vote to another thing. And by changing your vote, you'd be using the higher timestamp, and which would make that more valid. So just kind of like leaning into that, like showing that this timestamp is just like trying to figure out, there's going to be lots of signatures from people and you're going to want to know the most valid, most recent one. And even like you could sign something and it could not get to the server somehow. And then later on you would need to like turn that in, or someone else would have to turn that in. But whichever timestamp is the greatest is the one that makes it valid. And so like you just have to think through the game theory there and how people could attack it. And that's what you're showing here with this replay attack, is that you can't, the timestamp has to be the most recent timestamp is the only one that's valid, and all the other ones basically become invalid when a new one comes up.
Yep, that's it.
Cool. And it seems like ethers was really handy here. Seems like, thank you ethers for just making this verify function and making this sign function, right? I feel like that's that was a big boost up. So other than stealing code from Bliss, you were able to steal code from Rickmu, and that makes it the shoulders we stand on, right?
Yeah, I call it inspiration. I mean,
yes. Heck yeah. Awesome. All right, great build, Carlos. So could you send me the repo so I could add this to the YouTube? So if anybody else wants to build basically a signature-based system that has a backend that uses these valid signatures, to me that's a Web3 app. Like, to me that's Web3. You're using your wallet, your identity and inventory are you following you to this new site. It's not decentralized in terms of it's not backed by blockchain, but it still like uses all these same ECDSA key pairs and the idea of signing messages. So I still think it's a Web3 app, even if it doesn't use blockchain, if it uses these signature schemes. And it's a cool way to do this off chain and not spend a bunch of gas. But drop that link in somewhere. I don't know, maybe I hit you up on Telegram.
Yeah, I think I just send you like, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I there it is. Got it. Okay, now I have it in my notes. Thank you. All right. Great build, Carlos. A very forkable 712 server backed. What, you didn't use a server, you didn't use Firebase or anything, you just use like a JSON, and you can extend that in any way you want. Like if you want to use
like you can use like
Firebase
your own database or whatever.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, I think Spenser's up next. Do you want to show us the thing first and then tell us what you need help with? That would be good.
Absolutely. All right. Let me get the right stuff going here. Hopefully you should be seeing the thing now.
Yep, we got it. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so it's just a optimistic Loogie's fork that, I mean, essentially mints little star systems. And right now it's just set up to randomly pick a number of planets, randomly pick planet sizes, a star size. And then it's just assigns colors to the star. That's kind of limited to blues and yellows to look like stars. And then the planets themselves are just 4 hex strings, so they could be whatever.
Everything here you're seeing is on chain, right? A smart contract is rendering this solar system. There's a sun radius, there's the number of planets, there's a few different colors for the planets. Could you show us the contract real quick?
Yeah.
If you have the smart contract up, I feel like there's enough of us on the call that have built similar things to this that I think people will get it pretty straightforward. So yeah, show us that contract.
Yeah. Apologies. Like Austin said, this is like, I'm very new to this stuff, so it's strange looking, I'm sure, but yeah, I mean, the meat of it, I have a couple structs, one for the system. And you can see kind of the attributes here. It's just picking a name, picking a star radius, star color.
What's sequence?
Sequence. Right now, it's just an extra attribute to add a little bit of spice. It's just, if it's a large star, it's main sequence. If it's a little guy, it's a little blue dwarf. And that's just based on the relationship between the star radius, planet radius, but. So yeah, we're picking those attributes, picking a number of planets somewhere. Oh, up here, picking a number of planets. After you have a number of planets, choose the planet radii. And then there's a bunch of messy stuff to actually kind of calculate the layout, how far away the planets should be, their kind of orbital distances, and how their shadows are oriented. And then, yeah, right now I'm just picking 4 different colors, assigning those to the planet struct. And planet struct is kind of linked to the system struct through the indexes or the indices. And the name generation, quote unquote. Right now I'm just doing step 3 different arrays here, and it's picking a random item from each array and smashing those together and calling that a name for now.
That's awesome.
And
this reminds me of Loot, that naming system, how Loot brought together the different aspects, and they were just basically like big arrays, and it picked one out of the array, but it gives you like this cool like individual kind of randomly generated name. It's very cool.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
Keep going. Sorry.
no, it's all good.
I was going to say cool use of structs as well, because I think I've been using them a lot when and you can make so much more like meaningful, legible stuff like than you can if you're just using like mappings and arrays. Like I think that's really nice.
Thank you.
And there's like structs of structs here, right? He has a system struct, and within the system struct is an array of planet structs.
Yeah.
It just sounds not fun to play with. Not fun to build.
Yeah, it's like a
I
little
would
bit.
be frustrated. Yeah.
I was for a few hours. Times 10 probably.
Just a few hours.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, who's keeping track? But I mean, yeah, that's like the meat of it is filling out some structs, and then the actual rendering is just a bunch of ABI encode packs that are go on for eternity, basically.
Like everything from here south in the smart contract is string concatenation.
Yeah, mostly.
This is really cool because this is like a universe generator. Basically what you've created is, okay, you can generate a random system, and that system is going to go on chain, and there's going to be 4 planets, and they're going to be a certain size. They're going to be 3 different colors. Like we can tell from how far away they are from the sun, like how hot they could be. We can tell like by their 3 colors, what maybe the chemical makeup of the planet is. And then we could make a whole different game, or we could make many different games that use this, right? Going back to the Loogies, going onto the game board from Amsterdam, like all of this stuff is very composable and we can move things around. But I see something really fun happening here where we do something where we do a small NFT release where you can get in and you can mint yourself a system, but then somehow in the minting, we randomly put that system in a larger universe. So there's some kind of like 65,000 by 65,000 universe. And when you mint a system, it drops it randomly into that universe. And we only have maybe like 64 different systems that can get created. And then we have like this whole game universe that was created by people basically paying the gas to collect their one system. But now we have this whole big world to play with, and we can add in all sorts of different game mechanics and kind of new games on top of it. If we wanted to make trading, right? Like you could land on that blue planet there and collect whatever that blue stuff is, some iron ore. I'm going back to my Factorio. My son and I are playing a bunch of Factorio. So you collect a bunch of iron ore, right? And then you ship it off to some other planet in some other system where there's a manufacturing system going on there, and it turns it into iron and then sells it. And there's a whole commodity, or something different than that, right? That's where my straightforward brain goes. You guys can think of probably a lot weirder things. Okay, so what are you having a hard time with? What could you use help with? And what is like, you've done so much here for, I would say that like, I never thought you could, I used to babysit Spenser. We're old time friends. I can't believe that you were able to build this. So it's really cool how much you've done so far, and you kicked ass, man. This is such an awesome build, but what can we help you with now? How do we get this thing over the finish line?
Yes. Well, to keep it brief, I mean, number one, I'm sure the things I'm doing in the contracts are like horribly inefficient. There's got to be much smarter ways to do it. So gas optimization for sure. And also, there's many things security wise that I certainly am not an expert on. So, just an audit overall, like there's got to be some dumb stuff I'm doing. Has to be. I would say, I'm definitely don't know what I'm doing with React. So I just pulled all the React components and all how that was set up from the optimistic Loogies, and it does the way that everything is rendered. It can get pretty bogged down once you get a good number of the NFTs drawn or minted. So perhaps could use some help on optimizing that. Just general.
The Starfield. Wasn't the Starfield something?
I was thinking about that. Like, it looks kind of tight with just pitch black.
No
honestly.
Starfield.
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of like it.
Cool. Okay.
Which makes it a little easier. But we could add little random dots in the background. Did have that, but again, drawing all those extra objects really bogged it down. so optimization overall, an audit, and then certainly before dropping it, we need to, like you said, need to think about what else would need to be added to enable this to be, made into something bigger. I'm kind of clueless on that. Like what other pieces would need to be included so that, these things could be placed into a bigger universe, I guess.
And I think a lot of that is permissionless, but I think we should lean into it, and we should really like bring purpose to it. And we should say like, we could add like even just one extra field in the contract that says like the eventual game contract that we will king make as like, this is the game we are playing. We don't even know that the contract exists yet, but we could say like whatever, like we're eventually going to vote, and then we'll set that value to the next game. And so whatever this trading game is we build, like we could link to it from this contract and kind of king make it. But we could do something like every NFT that's minted, 20% of it goes to some other smart contract that is like the universe treasury. And then we could let everybody who owns a universe or a solar system NFT vote on what is the chosen game contract, right? Like we could be very, very like explicit about it. Like we're going to choose a game contract. It doesn't even like, they're not even connected at all. They're just like the solar system generator is going to point to a contract to kind of make it the official one. And we can all vote on that. And then we can kind of make a game later and kind of attach it to it as we build or something like that. But also in the NFT world, the idea of adding utility and the idea of like creating a game later for an NFT you're selling now is kind of like, it's an obvious thing that a bunch of people did and didn't make any games behind it. So it'd be better if we just like started making the game, right? And didn't try to like do some kind of like token sale where we're trying to pump our bags. So we have to be careful with how we build it, just because like there are other things that a lot of people are allergic to in the space. So we have to be careful with that. But I think that like, yes, let's make a universe. Let's make it so you can mint solar system NFTs and they show up in the universe. Let's make it so there's some kind of treasury that gets collected. So we're paying gas and then a little bit more, and then a little bit more goes to some treasury. And then let's let people vote on something, game mechanics or something. So you need a spot check on a contract. I can help with that. I think folks here can help with that. Damu is really good at that. We can help you with your React a little bit. It sounds like more just like you just need a second pair of eyes. Just like look through all of this stuff and make sure I'm not doing anything that's like obviously a knucklehead move. And as long as that's good, you're pretty good. I remember the Starfield was kind of a thing that you were when I minted like 5, all of a sudden it was like it took 10 minutes to load the thing because of the Starfield. So good. Because you were actually like with the SVG, you were drawing little white dots all over on the thing, right? Like you were rendering all of those in the smart contract. I wonder if we could come up with like 10 different random Starfields, and they're just like backgrounds. And then any given one is just one of those random 10 or 16 different backgrounds. And then it's like just a static thing that somehow is rendered. I don't know. We can figure that out later. Awesome build. Each planet has its own colors. Like there's so much more that could be extended from this. So maybe go ahead.
I mean, absolutely. Like right now it's random, but I mean, you could do it at a much deeper level where, like you said, like there's resources or there's a seed from each star system or, blah, blah, blah. Right now, I mean, basically the things are in place to make it show up, but it could be much smarter the way it's implemented. For sure.
All right. Go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say the last thing I did is I'd think about what things you'd make upgradable or that you might want to change, which might be quite a fun, like playful aspect of the universe. Like I always thought with like Bernie Boys, that was like a set it and forget it. Like we couldn't change the renderer, but it would have been fun if like maybe the community could have could one of the things that folks do is like to change like maybe some of the stuff that gets rendered or the color schemes, or like maybe certain planets could be made to like start expanding like this kind of stuff. I think that could all be quite fun, obviously within the realms of like some stuff you want to keep immutable, but some stuff's fun to add that upgradable. Those are upgradable paths too.
This is exactly so. With the Loogie tank, we realized that the Loogie render function needed to be public. So the Loogie tank could call the render function of the Loogie. So if the Loogie somehow got fatter or skinnier or something like that, changed its color, it would actually appear in the Loogie tank as changing its color. It seems like maybe for each planet, we have some fourth value that's not set yet, that you basically let the owner of the planet update the fourth property of rendering, and it renders itself, and then it calls one last render function on some third-party contract that the owner of the planet is allowed to craft. And you could like add rings to your planet or do something really interesting. And that could be like aftermarket, like you built the NFT, the whole universe exists, and then all of a sudden we open it up to let other people like add rendering to their little system. That could be really cool. The updated rendering is a good idea.
Absolutely, all that stuff. I believe
awesome
you guys.
build.
Yeah,
awesome build, Spencer. I'm gonna paste here. Oh no, go ahead. I'm gonna paste into chat. There is the Telegram channel if you are interested in kind of seeing this. I think I've invited a lot of people that are here already in there, but if you'd like to join this project or look it over or whatever, I just pasted into the chat. Spencer, if you wouldn't mind pasting the GitHub link so I can throw it in the show notes, so anybody watching or anybody kind of following along could also just like, first of all, just fork your code and do whatever they want, but also like maybe you could extend it and build something cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome work, Spencer. I'm freaking stoked about this. I want to see this thing keep going. I want to build something cool with it. So no matter what, let's just set a hard goal of in the next couple of weeks, let's put this thing on mainnet or on Optimism, and let's actually like make an NFT about it. And then we'll extend it from there and see what happens. But if you have a good idea for something that needs to get into the token before we deploy it, like Adam's renderer idea, hit us now, speak now, or forever hold your peace, because we're going to put this thing on main soon or something.
Or something. Cool.
Great build. All right, Mike Ryan. I think Mike Ryan has a code space. I think it's like bringing up the Scaffold-ETH stack, but in GitHub code spaces. We've been talking with like Microsoft and GitHub folks. Like they're interested in Web3 and they want to like see how, you know, Microsoft products and GitHub products could be used in Web3. So we're all like trying to build all sorts of skunkworksy weird things that might be interesting, and so are they. So this is really fun. So here is Mike Ryan showing it off. You got it, Mike.
Cool. Thanks, Austin. Hey, everyone. Yeah, so codespaces, as you may know, is Microsoft's hosted code environment. So you don't need to check everything out and run it locally. I'm just going to kick this off and then talk while it's loading. So from the GitHub repo, we can now just create a code space on master. And what this is doing is taking a Docker image, the Node.js base image that Microsoft provides, and it's installed all of the requirements for Scaffold-ETH and all of its submodules and so on, and then cached it somewhere on GitHub servers. And it's now pulling that cached version and is going to start up a VS Code instance with that container running in the background.
And this is built on Docker, right? It all starts with a Docker container that could just be forked and be open source, but then it goes and lives in their environment where it you know is more proprietary. But at the core of it, this is just a Docker container, I think.
Yes, indeed. From what I've seen of the service, it's like Docker and lots of bash scripts.
That's okay, when I first got into Docker, man, did I have so many bash scripts, like all sorts of orchestration scripts. Yep.
Cool. So here we're in VS Code, just your usual Scaffold-ETH setup. And one little bit of manual setup we need to do is enable automatic tasks. Once these are allowed, you can reload the page. And we don't need to wait.
So that's the thing that spins up some of the services. Is there any way we can set it up so it does that automatically, or do we have to do that each time? Is that something that's just part of code spaces, or is there a way to flag that so we don't have to have the user do that? Like best case scenario, they hit a button and they get the whole stack and it's up and running.
Yeah, I think it'll be tough. It's a feature request we would need to send to Microsoft, but it's a security issue for running arbitrary code.
Sure.
For someone.
Sure.
So What I would love to
Yeah.
see is when you launch the code space, to have a tick box that just says, yeah, I trust this project, and then it would spin up everything. So let me move my Zoom chat out of the way. So as you can see, it started everything. Yarn chain will run, and then there's a problem matcher, which is basically running a regex over all of the console output. When it sees the server is listening, it will then kick off yarn deploy and keep on deploying your contracts.
Oh, wow.
So if we now
And
go into,
does that trigger those ports, or were those ports things that you customized?
that triggers those automatically.
Okay, interesting.
So
Cool.
if we change, we see the contract is now being deployed. And this should hopefully have given time for yarn to start. Okay, still starting up. One other manual piece of setup is to make the hard hat port public. Oops, So if the port is private, it's private to your GitHub account, and it uses the authentication information in your GitHub session. That's not available to MetaMask, obviously. So when MetaMask is connecting to Hardhat, you need to make it a public port. So do bear in mind that this is publicly exposed. Somebody would need to guess the URL, but it's still a risk.
Which could actually be like really cool. Like when we're talking about a multi-sig build that has a back-end server, we could spin up a code space that just stays up, and it is the multi-sig with the transaction server, and all of us could go to the website and propose transactions, and they would go to that server, and that server would be exposed, and even the chain would be exposed. So we could build a smart contract game where you have to deploy a bunch of contracts, and it's not on any network, it's on our own chain, and we just like send people money from our own chain. Like you could have a little hard hat node just be our test net, and it's like a public chain. So there's a lot of fun stuff we could do with that. Even though it is exposed and it sounds scary, it also like is really powerful.
Yeah, sure, it's fun too. One thing to keep in mind with that is if there's no activity in VS Code for like 30 minutes or so, they'll suspend the containers, and your data is still there in the background, but the processes will stop running.
I feel like, yeah, if we were doing that, it'd probably be like, let's just make our own Docker container on our own server, kind of like what you were working on before we got to the code space thing. Like, let's just spin up an EC2 instance that does Docker Compose and does some of this stuff that you're doing automatically. But this is more for like, hey, you're a noob, you don't want to install the whole Scaffold-ETH stack. You can click a couple buttons and you can have your own version of the stack up in GitHub. Sorry to interrupt.
Right. No worries. But another cool thing we could do with this is, in the context of the game in Amsterdam, is give 20 people their own codespaces instances, which are all pointing to the same hard hat instance run by the leader.
That sounds awesome. Yeah.
Okay, this should have given enough time. Sweet. So this is now running. We open this. We should have a nice familiar Ethereum app. Boom. So first things first, just to show the basics, if we open up home.js,
this is your brain on code spaces. Look at
exactly
that.
What I had
reloading.
in mind when I was writing it. Yeah, so we got our classic hot reloading. Grab some funds.
So cool.
And boom, yeah, so we've got the whole stack up and running.
Very cool. Very cool. I don't know if anybody else has any questions here, but it's just like, it gets my brain going on all the fun things we could do. I love the idea of everybody at a hackathon, like giving them their stack out of the box, like just go scan this QR code or something and we'll pay for it. We'll pay for the stack for the day. You can just get in and write smart contracts that interact with our contract and not have to worry about running a stack or anything like that. Or even like the fact that the chain is there and the chain is shared means that we don't have things like RPCs falling over, right? Like whenever we played a game in Amsterdam, we had like a whole room of people hitting Infura to get like Rinkeby, and it was a mess and it fell over, and like no one's Infura key could handle it. This has a lot of like fun implications. So I look forward to and pushing this farther. What do you want to do with it, Mike Ryan? Like what do you see for a future of this stuff?
Well, one thing that interests me is it's programmable through the GitHub CLI. So if you were doing a course, for example, you can have a script which just spins up as many of these as you want and then programmatically shoots out the URLs to people. So for that kind of setup, I think it's going to be really convenient. Also for, excuse me, just quickly showing people what this can do and having them make a change and commit something back, that iteration cycle is now sort of 10 minutes instead of whatever it is. Yeah, exactly. Cool. It's like, click this link and in 10 minutes you can push some code of your Web3 app. That's pretty powerful, I think.
And the Scaffold-ETH stack is not light. It's a thick boy. Like there's a lot of dependencies and a lot of branches. So it's nice to be able to give people this where they don't have to like pull it down. Like I've been in places where we tried to do just a Yarn clone of Scaffold-ETH and a Yarn install, and it took like 15 or 20 minutes. So this could be really handy, especially for those hackathon events where we have a bunch of people in the same room together, where we could pay for their infrastructure. The infrastructure could be offsite and downloading and not using the local internet. Awesome build. Do we I think we have one more, maybe. I think we can fit one more. Mike, you said you had a second thing. You want to do it for like a minute, or do you want to maybe save that for next Friday? Where are you at with that?
I can do a 1 minute build.
1 minute. You got 1 minute. And
then
we'll go to Chris to close us out.
Cool. This is a series of experiments that I'm just throwing together. I wanted to create an NFT which can be used to push money towards public goods. So I'll just basically give a demo and then talk about it. So we have two potential recipients of public goods. You may know them. So we'll give Carlos is going to receive up to, indeed. The input amount is a total target amount. So Carlos is going to get 10, Austin is going to get 15, lucky Austin.
I don't think we see your MetaMask for what it's worth, but I don't think there's anything we're missing here. You're just making transactions.
Oh no, yeah, just boring stuff. Okay, so if we now go to the gallery, you see these NFTs. These are fully on-chain SVGs, and they have a donate box underneath them, so I can send Carlos 5 ETH.
Yes, please.
Yeah,
send 5 my way.
Yeah. Whoops. Oh, I'm putting in my my nonce manually, so because I had to reset my account. Are we on 3 or 4? My minute's running out. Oh no. Sorry, I'm just clicking MetaMask frantically because I'm having to put in my nonce manually.
So is that circle the thing that's rendered? What's the SVG? Is that circle thing an SVG? Oh wow.
The whole thing. So from the input above, in fact,
and
this
text.
is the SVG.
Okay.
This is the SVG.
Okay. So like if we were to look at this NFT in OpenSea, it would look like that. Like that green circle would be there and that text would be there.
Yeah.
It would be exactly like that in OpenSea. Dope.
Yes. What you're seeing here is I'm literally calling token URI in the browser and then decoding the SVG and then throwing it in this image. So so yeah, that's it. It just updates in real time and it lets you say how much you want to donate to a specific set of public goods, and then donate that over time. The cool thing is
the money goes through to the person. Sorry, keep going. You go.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So the money just goes directly straight through to the recipient. There's no fees or anything. It's just a conduit. And the idea is this is a badge. It's a soul-bound token, by the way. So it's like a badge to show how much you've donated to specific public goods. And when you're setting this up, you want to allow people to mint for an arbitrary amount. Sorry, you don't want to allow people to create them for any address, right? So when you're deploying the contract, there is a Merkle tree of allowed addresses. And then when I'm minting the token, it's actually in the background, it's providing the Merkle proof to show that Carlos's address is in that list. So you couldn't.
Where did you get your Merkle stuff? Whose Merkle stuff did you fork?
Open Zeppelin. I used theirs for the on-chain stuff, and I forgot whose, but there's a Merkle branch which was helpful. I took a look at, so thank you whoever created that.
Adam's here, but he's already gone. I think he made the Merkler.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, that was helpful. And Merkle Tree JS as well. But I've probably gone over my minute, so I'll stop now. But yeah, this is a quick build. I literally finished it just before the call, so I'm going to clean up and then add a repo.
Could you link me to both the codespaces repo, and actually the codespaces is like built into Scaffold-ETH. You just go to Scaffold-ETH and say spin up a codespace and it works now, right?
Yeah, but it's in the BuidlGuidl org, so we need to decide if that becomes the source of truth. But yeah, we can chat.
But send me the link to this repo so I have it, so I can share it on the notes if someone wants to fork or see your cool public goods NFT.
Well, sure, we'll do.
Dope. Awesome. Nice builds, multiple builds. Mike Ryan, great work. I think the last one will be Chris. Chris is going to close us out. I think he's got built with Scaffold-ETH, but I'm not sure. Let's see. It's up to you, Chris. You got it.
Yeah, I'll make it quick. Hey everyone, my name is Chris. I'm going to share my screen. Yeah, cool. So this is the first build that I'm going to present. Basically, we had like for several weeks with me and Austin, we're thinking of building sort of catalog of all the past Scaffold-ETH builds that were that were created in the past. And yeah, so like I came up with this catalog sort of made with Tailwind CSS, and Steven Slade really helped me. Okay, I just use his like template, but he also like helped me like tweak because yeah, it's his build. But basically, I made like some sort of cards. So like if you're looking for some, I don't know, if you're interested in like sale Loogies, for example, you can directly like go to here, like, and there's also some hashtags that will help you decide like what you want to see, and like, because like this will also like help people like understand that Scaffold-ETH is like really you can do a lot of stuff with it, like it's sort of like a Swiss knife, and like yeah, so like if you want to do some on-chain stuff, you have sorry, if you want to do on-chain stuff, yes, so you can go to Signatorio. Yeah, okay, but we also like some cool stuff and some original ideas. Okay, my Wi-Fi is pretty slow, but you can see here. Okay, yeah, you can say hi like on chain, send some custom messages, but you can also yeah, play solo Loogies. There's some cool like NFT projects such as Munchatbots, Rest Day, Lost and Found, CityDAO, Citizenship, even some DeFi applications that we never knew about it, Bernie Boys. Yeah, so basically, like on a monthly basis, I will go through the RPC link, and like I will sort of like curate them depending on how like the site is visited. And yeah, if it's cool also, because yeah, the RPC, there's also some bunch of like search links. You can see here, this is pretty cool. I really like this. Okay, you can see the background, but okay, yeah, for example, here, apparently like you can sort of like if you pass away, like you can like process in a trustless manner, like or like distribute all your crypto assets to someone. And this was built with Scaffold-ETH. I think this is pretty cool. This sort of like securing your crypto assets, even though like something happens to you. Yeah. What else? So yeah, this one.
Pretty good stuff. Yeah, it looks nice. Yeah. I think one of the biggest goals with this site is just to show that people are using Scaffold-ETH to build production level apps. And once these apps, most of the time, get to production, they don't look like Scaffold-ETH. I think I've said it a lot on this call and with these folks, with you folks, that like a good Scaffold-ETH build looks like crap at first because it's just like that white background and the simple buttons. And basically a good app starts out by, okay, we have the smart contract and we have the buttons and they work and everything works. It's just ugly as heck, but you can like use this cool like smart contract based app. And then it's like, okay, that's half the battle. The other half is like making it look nice and making it SEO compatible and all the other stuff we have to do in like the Web 2 world. So it's just really nice to see that there's lots of folks out there that are building production level apps with Scaffold-ETH. And so when someone comes to me and they say, well, everything with Scaffold-ETH is like these silly little white background apps that function sort of and are kind of clunky. And it's like, yeah, but look at all these other cool things that are being built with it. So the point of this is we want to keep a repository of professional Scaffold-ETH builds available, and Chris will go through kind of and keep them up to date. We have the RPC where we can pay attention to like who's making RPC requests and add it here, but we probably just need to kind of have our ears on the tracks and be listening for other people creating things and just try to find things that people are making that are production level cool stuff. Like if you click that lost and found one in the bottom left, you'll be able to see what this dude built. It looks nothing like Scaffold-ETH. It looks cool, like it looks production level. It's an artist and they added their artistic touch to it, and it doesn't feel like one of those clunky white Scaffold-ETH apps. It feels like a production level artist app. Looks like your internet is a little it's having a hard time. That's all good. That's all good. Oh, there it is. There it loads in. Yeah, see, you can see that this developer really kind of made it their own, and kind of they have their own thing here. You can't tell at all that this was built with Scaffold-ETH. It just looks like a Web3 app where you would connect your wallet and you would mint some NFTs. So, but it has Adam's not on the call anymore, but it's so funny to see the different forks of all the different things. It has that little switch box where you switch between full collection and my collection. And that's something from the Loogies or something, but it's like the weirdest UX ever where you have to like slide a slider over to be able to see your collection versus someone else's collection. And I know Adam just built it in a hurry quickly so we could display 40s, maybe. I think it was from the OE 40s. And now like it has a rippling effect to all these other apps that fork that. Now they have that weird user experience of like, I have to tick this box to see mine. It's not like in another tab or something. So it's fun to see like the rippling effects of if you create something that has like this sort of compounding pace where other people are building on top of it, you see these weird like rippling effects. So it's fun to see for sure. But good work, Chris. Yeah. This is what we need. We need a list of apps built on Scaffold-ETH. Kevin is asking, is it live? Could you give us the Surge link? The thing that it's missing, I think, is a good domain, right? I need to get us a good domain. I think we were thinking scaffold.watch, scaffold.watch, right? It's like Night's Watch, scaffold watch. So hopefully we'll have scaffold.watch set up and we'll have it here so people could submit their builds. We'll have Chris like with his ears on the tracks, but everybody within the Build Guild, pay attention. If you see anything built with Scaffold-ETH, let's get it added to this. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, and funny enough, like this was like generated automatically by Surge, like Accessible Education. And I think it's a good name for like this build.
Good random name.
yeah. But yeah, and like one last thing, I was playing around like with RainbowKit like a few days ago, and I just managed to put it in Scaffold-ETH. And the cool thing I found with like RainbowKit is like it's really small, it's really simple like to implement. It's just like with this migration to O2, they didn't like really communicate about it. You just have to like so there's no more API provider. I'm just thinking for any developer who will try to like implement it this week, because like sorry, I'm trying to find where it is. So it's like part of the new releases, and it just came like 2 days ago, I think. So yeah, better watch out and like just replace some stuff here, and it work really smoothly, and like it's pretty fun to play with. And you can also like it adds on your it's an add-on to your UI and UX, so I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, that's it for me. Thank you. Yeah.
Great work, Chris. Does RainbowKit come with WAGME out of the box? And WAGME is a set of hooks, right? It's basically what ETH hooks was for us. They created WAGME for RainbowKit. Like we had all this stuff a year ago. They're just making it look nicer and calling it new names. But like WAGME is just ETH hooks, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just like
Okay.
I have an example here. So you just import it from. So yeah, you import it from here, like yeah, from WAGME, and like
Okay.
yeah, and you just swap your application with these two. Remember, WAGME provider, Rainbow Key provider, and yeah, the rest will just like it's really simple. Like you can do it in like 15 minutes. I struggled because like they're like what I was working on that app, like they were really like releasing the new version. So I just like after like 1 hour, I just found out that they just released something new. So yeah, there's no need for API providers. Just like yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Awesome stuff, Chris. So you sent me a link to the thing on Surge, but could you send me a couple repo links? Could you send me a repo link for the rainbow thing and a repo link for the scaffold.watch? Just so I have them in the show notes. Awesome. Any closing thoughts? Anybody have I think we're way over time, so we're probably not going to show anything else off. I think we did it. It's Bowtie Friday. I owe Carlos another run, so I think I'm going to go for a run in a little bit. See you guys in a little bit. Anybody have any closing thoughts? Thanks for being here. All right, see you guys later. Happy Bowtie Friday.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Happy Friday.
Take care, guys.
Bye, everybody.